ladies and gentlemen. See, that I'm going to talk about your family tree. I'm making this statement for Leslie and Gavin, Katie and Liam, and Gary, for John and Susan and Connor. I've written it all out the other day, and I'm just going to go over it with you, and we'll have it on tape. And it has to do with your family tree, as far as I know it. So, start off, and I'm going to kind of read it here, because it all started way back in Callygalla, County Leitrim, where your grandfather, my father, was born. He was born in Callygalla, County Leitrim. His father was a doctor in Leitrim, and he would be my grandfather, your great-grandfather. But anyway, he was married, and of course he was married, and he had, let me see now, he had he had 4 brothers and 1 sister. 4 brothers were Dr. John Joe. He was a doctor in Tullivin, County Cavan. And then he had another brother, Edward, and he was the doctor in Virginia, County Cavan. Another brother, James, who was a Dominican priest, and he was over in Australia. He came back home in the late years to Sligo, to the head house in Sligo, and another brother, Peter, who stayed at home on the land, or on the land, and had a small store. Peter was the storekeeper. And the one sister was Aunt Sissy. And Aunt Sissy just stayed at home for father and mother. That was her life. When the father and mother died, she was in the house. Herself and Peter lived together in that house until they died. I don't know what year. But anyway, that was your father's story. Now, Granda's family, like I told you, was John Joe was that, and Edward was that. So I'm not to get into quite a lot. But John Joe was the doctor in Tullivin, and he was married to Aunt Susan, my Aunt Susan. Her name was Susan Shields. She came from Tullivin too. And they were married and had a big family. They had 2 daughters and 4 sons. The daughter was the daughter was Eileen and Missy, and the 4 sons were Peter, Seamus, Sean, and Hugh. Eileen was married to a vet in England. His name was Mr. Hogg. And Missy was at home, like Aunt Sissy was in father's family. Missy stayed at home with father and mother. And the 4 sons, Peter was a doctor, Seamus was a doctor, Sean was a priest, and Hugh was a vet. And they, as far as I know, most of them have passed away now. I think Seamus, all gone. But anyway, that was it. They lived down in Tullivin. The other brother, Edward, he was the doctor in Virginia, and he had 2 daughters and 2 sons. Gladys and Nuala, who are still, one of them was at home, and he knew the one was at home, and Gladys was away somewhere in Australia or England. And Frank and Edward. Frank and Eddie, I believe, are out in Australia. I don't know much about them. We lost track of them. But that's how that family was. Peter and Sissy, like I say, stayed at home. People in the wine store, small little sweet shop that he had the other day. Now, then that took it to the other brother, which was my father, William. Well, William met Lillian MacDonald from Virginia. And her father getting into the MacDonald family now, and your grandmother's family. Her family were from Virginia, the MacDonalds. The old man was a big farmer and a very well-known politician around Virginia. And he had 2 sons and 5 daughters. One of the sons was Kevin, who married Odette, a German woman, who went into cattle. She was the famous cattle judge, and she bought cattle. So they went on. They had no family, but they know. Then there was Ernie. Ernie took over the store in Virginia, a big bar and grocery store. He took over the farm, which was a very, very big farm, all around the lake, La Brama. He owned all that. He also owned the Park Hotel in Virginia. His son Barry, he ran the hotel, and he also had a son called Richard, who took over the shop. He had 3 daughters, Stephanie, Pauline, and Joan. Joan is the one that was here last summer. She was married in New Zealand, and she's a widower there, and had 1 child. Stephanie was stayed at home. She's passed away too. And Pauline, I don't know where Pauline is. Then we had the rest of the family, the 5 daughters. The 5 daughters. The first one was Viola, Aunt Viola. Aunt Viola was a nurse in England, and when we lived in England, in London, she was very friendly with us. She used to come and visit us all the time. She was a very nice person, Aunt Viola was. When Aunt Viola died, of course, she left me £300, which was, at one time, $900, but by the time I got it, it was only $300. Then there was Vera, and Viola, by the way, never got married. Vera never got married either. Vera was the secretary to Eamon de Valera, the president of the Taoiseach of Ireland. And she was a very nice person. She lived up in Dublin, and she passed away, of course, too. Then there was Maya, Aunt Maya. Aunt Maya was married to a guy called Rudy, and they had 2 daughters, Olive and Molly. Molly never got married, but Olive did. Olive married, as a matter of fact, Olive married John O'Reilly, great captain footballer, very famous footballer. He was a lieutenant in the Irish Army. And Olive is still living in Dublin. Molly is passed away, of course. She never got married. Then we had Evelyn, Aunt Evelyn, another sister of my mother's, and she married Amy Barton down in Ennis, Clare, where I worked for them for 3 or 4 years, and Maya lived with them for many years while she was going to school there. Well, the Bartons, they had 2 sons, Fergus and Erna, and Amy, of course, was the bar and grocery, and Evelyn used to run the bar and grocery, and Amy used to run the farm. He was a big cattle farmer, and when I was there, I worked with him on the selling cattle. But she had 2 sons, Fergus and Erna. Fergus got married to Maureen McAvoy from Virginia, and they had 2 kids, Anne and Kevin. You met both of them. Kevin was over here, and then he